let's bring that energy back. Okay. Very big day. Good morning, family, my movement family, my sister in service, and thank you to all of you for joining us here as we make it plain that abortion care is safe, abortion care is necessary, and abortion care is health care, and abortion care is a human right. You know, on the heels of our observance of Juneteenth, I've been reiterating Juneteenth 365. I want freedom every day, not just an observance of it on one day, every day, and that begins with our bodies. Abortion care is a human right. People seek abortion care for a myriad of reasons, and all deserve to be met with care and compassion and with support. This week marks 1 year since the Supreme Court overturned the will of the people and obliterated the right to abortion care across our nation. That day was certainly damning confirmation of what reproductive justice organizers, including many of whom are here today, had been sounding the alarm about for years as canaries in the coal mine. And since that day, coordinated attacks on our reproductive health care have continued and escalated with devastating results. Today, at least 20 states have enacted draconian abortion bans or restrictions on our bodily autonomy, with more expected to follow. These restrictions have only served to push safe, legal, and necessary abortion care out of reach for our most vulnerable, including our Black, Brown, AAPI, low-income, disabled, Indigenous, and LGBTQ siblings. Now, given the coordinated nature of these attacks and decades-long assault in our state houses and in our courts, because at this point, from the state legislatures to the lower courts to the Supreme Courts, they are now co-conspirators in this extremist agenda. We've done everything that we could to hold our ground, but in this moment, we have to fight to restore rights that have been ripped away from us. I want to acknowledge my mentors and colleagues who have linked arms with advocates and advanced critical legislation like the Women's Health Protection Act and the EACH Act. I want to speak their names. Judy Chu, Barbara Lee, Veronica Escobar, Lois Frankel, Jan Schakowsky, Diana DeGette, and so many others. Together, we have successfully urged federal agencies to stand in the gap and to protect essential reproductive care, including pressing for access to safe, reliable medication abortion and over-the-counter birth control. And we have used the power of this movement to make plain what's at stake in this fight and to build momentum behind these priorities so that being the first pro-choice majority Congress in the history of Congress would be more than a talking point, but would be affirmed on the record. This work is essential and it continues. But as we go about that daily work, it is important that we have a North Star, that we have an affirmative vision of what is possible. And that is exactly why we are all gathered here today, and why I'm so proud to partner with our advocates to introduce the Abortion Justice Act. And I do mean the collective our bill is practical, it is technical, it is forward-facing, and it is unapologetically aspirational. Because to work towards a just future state, we need to be able to name it, describe it. We are navigating a national nightmare when it comes to abortion care. And the way through the nightmare is to speak with clarity and precision about the dream. We have to affirm the dream. We need to detail the role policy would play in enabling care, in normalizing wraparound services, and methodically addressing systemic barriers. It is past time to speak plainly about abortion justice, abortion. We're saying that word out loud.
Yes.
We're not going to be subtle or nuanced about it because the attacks that are coming at us daily are blunt. They are not nuanced. They are blunt and very precise. In a truly just America, abortion care is treated as the fundamental health care that it is. Care is readily available for those who seek it. Costs are covered. Providers are trained and supported, and essential patient-centered services like abortion doula care are the norm. Again, unapologetically aspirational. In a just America, Black and brown women, folks with disabilities and our indigenous siblings, our AAPI neighbors, and the LGBTQ community can access the abortion care they want and need in community without stigma, without shame, or systemic barriers. Again, there is no shame in having had an abortion. There is no shame in seeking an abortion. The only shame is those that are fighting relentlessly to deny you that which is a human right. In a just America, abortion care is normalized, and we speak plainly about the many varied circumstances where abortion care is sought. In a just America, bodily autonomy is treated as a right codified in law, and your access to care is not dependent on your zip code or your immigration status, your income, or your background. Our bill moves us closer to a truly just America by protecting patients and providers from criminalization, removing systemic barriers to care, and calling for bold federal investments in abortion care, including training, research, outreach, doula care, facilities, innovation, and access. Let me be clear. A just America is possible. And I look forward to the day where our bodily autonomy is our own. As always, I seek to legislate and to govern cooperatively because those closest to the pain should be the closest to the power, driving and informing the policy making. This bill is no different. Policy is my love language. And this right here, this is my love letter. This is my love letter to the movement. To all of you, the organizers and activists, the co-conspirators, to every person in this nation who demands and deserves abortion care. Thank you to my House colleagues, Congresswoman Williams and Bush, as well as Congresswoman Escobar and Congressman Frost, and to all, above all, and our advocates for their support and partnership on this critical legislation. I do also want to take a moment of personal privilege to acknowledge the work of my entire team, but in particular, my Chief of Staff, Sarah Grow. Thank you all for your sweat equity in the fight for our reproductive freedom. And thank you for always laboring in love. Unapologetically aspirational, abortion justice is possible. All right. And now we'll hear from my sister in service, my partner in the work of justice seeking, truth telling, table shaking, movement building, Missouri's first, as she always says, she and the people of St. Louis. She's bringing them all to the mic today. Representative Cori Bush.
Gotta love my sister. Got to love my sister. Hello, everyone, and thank you all for being here this morning. I have to start, of course, by shouting out my sister in service for all the leadership, all the hard work, all the late nights, and all of the work that you and your team have been doing on this issue for such a long time. We honor you, and I just thank you for your partnership. And also to my other siblings in service, to Nakima Williams and Veronica Escobar and Maxwell Frost, the leadership, all of the partnership, all of the tireless dedication to protecting access to reproductive care. You know, I say thank you because we're doing this work And today we're here to do this work through the Abortion Justice Act. And also to all the advocates who are here. Shout out to all the advocates. And to our youth. We love you. We love you. And thank you to our youth for standing up. 3 years ago, I was first elected to Congress. 2 years ago, I spoke for the first time publicly about the abortion I had when I was just 18, after a sexual assault at 17. 1 year ago, while sitting in the same clinic where I had my abortion all those years ago, I found out the Supreme Court had just overturned Roe. For me, like millions of people across this country, Dobbs is personal. When Dobbs broke, I remember feeling gutted as I sat next to Secretary Becerra of Health and Human Services, the Secretary of Health and Human Services, and advocates, abortion rights advocates. I sat there and I remember thinking about how this decision made by a corrupt and stolen majority, how that was a death sentence for so many people across our country, particularly for Black and brown, LGBTQ folks, people living with disabilities and low-income folks and youth. And even more so for the residents across my home state of Missouri, who, within minutes of the Dobbs decision, became the first state to enact its trigger ban and outlaw abortion care across our state. Before Roe was decided, people flung themselves downstairs or maimed themselves with wire hangers to terminate a pregnancy. I remember the stories of hearing women sitting on a toilet full of ammonia and waiting. Sepsis was the leading cause of death for people seeking abortion care. Restricting access to abortions did not stop women from needing abortions. Rather, it only forced more people into dangerous and life-saving situations. If the so-called, they call themselves the pro-life folk, if the forced birth folk, if that movement was sincere in its attempt to protect life, they would save lives by not only protecting access to abortion care, but by expanding access to sexual and reproductive care, health care. The truth is, we know that Roe, it was always the floor.
That's right.
It was just the floor. So before, during, and after Roe, marginalized communities have always faced barriers to care. As lawmakers, we have a responsibility to do all that we can to protect reproductive rights, and that's just what the Abortion Justice Act does. This legislation reaffirms what we are building towards. It's not simply responding to this moment, but it's visionary, like my visionary sister. And once enacted, it will guarantee that abortion care is a protected right for everyone. That's what care looks like in a just America. In a just America, we can bolster and maintain a robust network of culturally competent medical professionals, including life-saving doulas, and who place their patients' needs first, not politicians' desires. Legislation like this is a key component of the Democratic strategy to address the rising tide of anti-abortion legislation, like those taking root in states like mine. We must take a whole of government approach to increasing access to abortion care by engaging with every single relevant agency, the Department of Education, the Department of Justice, and Health and Human Services, to provide wraparound support to patients in every single state. That is actual justice, doing everything we can to provide equitable, life-saving care. It may have been a year ago since Roe was overturned, but if I have learned something over this past year, is that the fight is far from over, and we did not lose the wind in our sail. We did not get discouraged. We did not go crawl up under a rock. as you can see by evidence by the folks standing behind us. Across the country, people from all backgrounds, all genders and faiths, immigration statuses and communities are rising up. We are fighting back for reproductive freedom. We're fighting back for bodily autonomy. We're fighting back for dignity. And we are fighting back for justice. And what justice looks like is people are still alive to speak about it. With my colleagues by my side and with all of our advocates, I think I can speak for everyone when I say we are proud to continue, even though we're not proud to do this fight because it should already be won, but we are proud that we are here in this moment right now for such a time as this to deliver the Abortion Justice Act and reproductive freedom to the people. Thank you. Right. All right, now I'm going to turn it over to my sister in service, Rep. Williams. Oh, no? Oh, no. Oh, we're going to turn it over instead? Okay. We're gonna let you do it.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, yes. We do have some other colleagues that are in committee right now. Representative Nakima Williams and our other co-lead, Veronica Escobar. They're going to do their best to get here imminently. But in the meantime, I do want to bring up the president, and I never tire of calling women Madam President, of all, above all, Morgan Hopkins.
Thank you for that. Hi, everybody. Thank you. Look at this. What an incredible day. Thank you, Congresswoman, both of you, for being here. Hi, everyone. My name is Morgan Hopkins, and I'm the president of All Above All, and I'm so excited to be here today. Black, Indigenous, Latinx, AAPI, and other people of color, women, queer and trans people, and young people have long had a vision for a world where abortion care is there for everyone who needs it, without barriers based on who we are, where we live, or how much we earn. Today, as we stand here together nearly a year after the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade, we applaud Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley for her leadership and for working alongside our communities to bring that vision to federal law with the Abortion Justice Act. We also thank Representatives Escobar, Williams, Bush, and Frost for their incredible leadership on this as well. The devastating consequences of the abortion care crisis cannot be overstated. We know that for decades, insurance coverage bans, medication abortion bans, and inhumane policies targeting immigrants pushed abortion care out of reach, even when abortion was legal nationwide. Now, politicians are banning abortion state by state, leaving people with few options and forcing them to leave their home states for care. Providers and people who have abortions, including immigrants, face threats of criminalization. Future medical professionals are being dissuaded and intimidated by these laws. Clinics in states where abortion remains legal are grappling with the influx of patients from across the country. And we know, again, from decades of barriers, that the harm of this crisis falls hardest on people working to make ends meet, people of color, young people, LGBTQ+ folks, gender nonconforming and non-binary people, and immigrants. With our fundamental rights at stake, we are done compromising and settling for crumbs from some politicians and the courts. The realities of getting an abortion demand bold, lasting change. We need abortion justice now. Abortion justice is what happens when we lead with compassion, not shame or judgment. Abortion justice is what happens when we put people's and their families' health, safety, and real life needs first by letting them decide what's best for them and their circumstances. Abortion justice is what happens when we make sure everyone has access to abortion care, no matter who they are or where they live. We must ensure all of us have the freedom to control our lives, bodies, and futures. With the Abortion Justice Act, we are one step closer. Thank you so much for being here. Now I would like to introduce Lupe Rodriguez, Executive Director of the National Latina Institute for Reproductive Justice.
Thank you so much, Morgan. Thank you, Congresswoman Pressley. Thank you, Congresswoman Bush. Thank you all the co-sponsors. We're so thrilled to be here. As mentioned, I'm Lupe Rodriguez, the Executive Director, really proud Executive Director of the National Latina Institute for Reproductive Justice. At Latina Institute, we build power in Latinx communities across the country so that everyone, and we mean everyone, has access to the sexual and reproductive health care they need, including abortion. Our communities have faced barriers to care even before the Dobbs decision, and it's been cited before. And of course, now things are even worse. Specifically for Latinx and immigrant people, along with other communities of color, as mentioned, we've been disproportionately impacted by the bans on this care. Of course, as mentioned, abortion bans affect us all, right? But for example, for people without documentation, traveling to another state for abortion care could mean risking detention, deportation, and separation from our families, something we cannot abide by and will not abide by. Additionally, many in our communities face mis and disinformation that has caused confusion, currently causing confusion about what the laws are in their states, even in states where abortion is legal. Confusion about where they can access health care of other kinds, and fear about being criminalized for seeking the care they need. Of course, the good news is that we know that people around the country, including in our Latinx community, are fired up and fighting back against these attempts to steal our freedoms. We are fighting back, and we are fiercely fighting against this. Latina Institute is proud to support the Abortion Justice Act and grateful for the leadership of the elected officials here today and above all. This groundbreaking bill makes abortion truly more accessible for everyone and affordable, and breaks down the barriers that we've already cited exist and have always existed for people in our communities. This is what we need right now. We urge lawmakers to pass this act and ask all of you to join us as we create a country with true reproductive freedom for all. Finalmente, quiero acabar mi mensaje en español. De parte de todas las poderosas que están aquí con nosotros y de las que no pudieron estar aquí, que están en todo el país, escuchando y viendo este poder. Queremos que sea claro que nuestro mensaje no tiene barreras, incluyendo barreras de lenguaje. Declaramos en nuestras voces, en nuestro español, en nuestro idioma, que queremos salud, dignidad y justicia, y que no pararemos de luchar hasta que lo logremos. Aquí respiramos lucha. Gracias. And I will now.
Okay, thank you so much. All right, and now we'll hear from Dr. Diane Horvath, Physicians for Reproductive Health.
Thank you so much. It's an honor to be here speaking alongside abortion storytellers, community leaders, and political champions for abortion access. My name is Dr. Diane Horvath. I use she, her pronouns, and I am an OBGYN and abortion care provider in Maryland, where I co-founded Partners in Abortion Care, the only women-owned and operated abortion clinic providing care in all trimesters of pregnancy. I realized this morning as I was preparing that we picked up the keys for the clinic 1 year ago today. I am also a fellow with Physicians for Reproductive Health, a network of physicians across the country working to improve access to comprehensive reproductive health care. As a provider of abortion care, I know that legality only means so much when it comes to abortion. We are in deep need of bold legislation like the Abortion Justice Act because legality is not enough. We need to make sure that real people have real abortion access for their real needs in their real lives, not just a right to abortion in name only. We need to also ensure that providers of abortion care have the support and resources they need to provide that care. Physicians for Reproductive Health has been proud to support provisions in this bill that do just that. The attacks posed on abortion access this year and the ripple effect of the Dobbs decision have made widely visible what we've known all along. Abortion is essential health care, and communities suffer when it isn't available. People with resources will always be able to access abortion no matter the law. Barriers to abortion inequitably fall hardest on the communities who have already been harmed by our white supremacist institutions, including the healthcare system, the carceral system, and the police state. The Abortion Justice Act builds abortion justice into federal law, not compromising on what we all need to make real abortion access possible. This means affordability, availability, and accessibility no matter who you are or where you live. This legislation was written and is championed by Black, Indigenous, Latinx, and AAPI women, as well as queer and trans people. All people with lived experiences we must center if we want to build a new way forward. We must work to ensure that everyone lives in a world where they don't have to worry about whether or not they will be able to get the abortion care they need. Thank you so much for having me here today, and to all above all, and Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley for their leadership. I look forward to seeing this bill's progression.
All right, and now we'll hear from two of our We Testify storytellers, Ashley Underwood and Stephanie Gomez.
Hello, my name is Ashley. I'm a We Testify storyteller and director of Equity Forward. I am also a mom who previously had an abortion. I stand here today because I believe that everyone who desires to be a parent should be able to do so on their own terms, and because I believe that policies should foster an environment that supports our freedom to determine what's best for us and access services that meet our reproductive needs. The decision to become a parent is one of the most important decisions you'll make in your life, and it should be ours to make. And once we have made it, no politician should stand in our way. Abortion justice means that people with the ability to become pregnant have full autonomy over their pregnancy outcomes. Barriers to abortion care, such as the state-mandated delay I faced when accessing care for myself, do not help people who need care. Instead, these restrictions delay care as people are forced to navigate childcare, travel, and time away from work. Now, in the state where I live, the legislature has passed an abortion ban that will force me and others to leave our state in order to get care. We shouldn't have fewer rights than others just because of where we call home. Parenting is a lifelong commitment to ensuring the success, well-being, and happiness of someone else. For all of its joys, it requires a lot of work and commitment. And so I wholeheartedly believe that nobody should be forced into this role if they know that it's not for them. As a mom who has had an abortion, I am so grateful for the introduction of the Abortion Justice Act that protects abortion access and paves the way for us all to choose if and when we become parents. Thank you, and next up is my fellow storyteller, Stephanie Gomez from Texas.
Hello, everyone. My name is Stephanie Gomez. I am a Texan and an abortion storyteller with We Testify and the political director of Move Texas. My experience getting an abortion in Texas underscores why we need the Abortion Justice Act. When I got my abortion, I encountered numerous hurdles deliberately placed in my way by anti-abortion politicians. I endured a 24-hour state-mandated delay, which forced me to take additional time away from school and disrupted my education. The nearest abortion clinic was an hour and a half away, leaving me dependent on my abusive partner for transportation. I received some financial assistance thanks to my local abortion fund, but I still carried the burden of approximately $300 in expenses, a considerable sum for someone who was working part-time at a McDonald's, earning less than $8 an hour. Today, people in my home continue to face these same barriers and more. Abortion has been banned in Texas for nearly 2 years, forcing people to travel thousands of miles to get the care that they need and pull together funds to cover travel costs like plane tickets, overnight hotel stays, days of lost wages, childcare, and more on top of the cost of abortion care. Doctors are living in fear and face threats of criminalization for using their best medical judgment and treating their patients. Abortion funds like the one that I called are being threatened by state officials and politicians just for supporting their communities. As someone who has had an abortion, I believe in and support the Abortion Justice Act because no one should have to navigate the struggles that I did and that so many of my fellow Texans continue to face today. My experience underscores the importance of safeguarding access to safe and legal reproductive health care, as well as the need to end policies that perpetuate barriers and enact real, lasting change so that we are all able to control our own lives, bodies, and futures. Thank you so much. And now, I am super pleased to hand it back to Congresswoman Pressley.
All right, any questions?
Obviously, Republicans control the House right now. How far do you think this bill is going to actually go in reality, and what kind of message are you please trying to send with it?
Well, I think it's incumbent upon us to not only legislate, organize, mobilize when the Democrats have the gavel and are in the majority. We have to continue to build momentum and to build consensus and to apply pressure. It's been my experience that more often than not, government does not lead, but it does respond. And so we have to keep the pressure up. But in this moment, my siblings in justice, we are leading, again, to just affirm that abortion care is a fundamental human right. It's health care. Any other questions? Did we really say it all? Well, I love it. Okay, well, I guess we just covered it all, so that's good to know. And thank you all for being here. Thank you all. I hope this proves, if I were giving a State of the Union address, I would say the state of the abortion justice movement is strong. Hey!